Hey, so two quick questions here. So the first question about like hiring slow and firing fast regarding
Yeah.
like women. So when you're vetting women, you're dating them, all that. I've experienced this a couple times, and I'm curious if you have too, where people tell you, "Oh, Rich or Spencer, I think your expectations, your standards are too high, and you're being too hard on other people, and you're demanding, too much." Because
Who's saying that to you? Is that your family or friends?
a friend in this specific situation I'm thinking of, like a close coworker and friend,
Okay.
um, and um, I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm physically and like my work habits and everything. I set pretty high goals and
Mhm.
expectations. So I invariably apply that to people that are surrounded by me, right? Because you want to
Mhm.
have good, positive, healthy people around you, and it's as we've discussed on the show and people have said it's hard to surround yourself with positive people that are a good influence. It can be, depending on where you're at in the world or in the country, in your workplace, it can be difficult. So especially when it comes to women, if you're trying to let them into your life closely. I was just curious if you know
You're going to get that, right? I mean, like
mm,
if you set strict boundaries about who you're going to allow in your inner circle, whether it's employees, whether it's women, whether it's friends, especially with women. And if you're getting, if you're getting older and your family or friends have certain expectations of you, societal expectations, oh, you got to find one and settle down and have kids, and, be miserable like everybody else sort of thing.
mm,
And you're like, well, I got rid of her because she was crazy, or I got rid of her because she was a feminazi, or I got rid of her because I don't like women that don't put a priority on self-care and they're getting fat or whatever, right? Like
right.
these are like, it's your life, right? And the thing
Mm,
that you got to get your head around as a dude as you're navigating again your life is, are you making yourself your own mental point of origin with every choice, with every day, with every week, with every month and year? Are you continuing to making choices that align with things that serve you? And it's very, very different when guys start to unplug from the bull crap and start to make themselves their own mental point of origin, because people will criticize you. You will lose friends. They're going to start
mm,
to challenge you. Why are you being so picky, Spencer? What's wrong with Jill? Jill was a good girl. Why didn't you pick Jill? Like, what the hell was wrong with her? Well, she had two kids in tow from two different fathers. That's what's wrong with her. Okay. So stop bothering me, piss off. Right.
mm,
You just have to be firm with them, right? Like you have to hold firm, strong boundaries. And if you set high standards for yourself, you're going to do far better in the world. But at the same time, you're also going to tolerate less crap and you're going to have more criticism of your choices because of those higher standards, right? People generally speaking have very low standards, for themselves and for the world. I mean, look at the world right now. We're in a lockdown state for something that you can only see it under a microscope, that only like 99 point some like 8% of people survive if they get it. But we're in complete lockdown because everybody wants to be a pussy, right? So
mm.
we don't have very, very high standards for ourselves and society. We want to weaken society and lower it. It's like, in school gym where the basketball net was too high and the kids couldn't, dunk it, they would just lower the basketball net. That's what
Mhm.
we're doing right now. And when you
Yeah,
hold yourself to higher standards in life, you've got to understand that people will point and sputter at you.
right. Yeah, for sure. So kind of a second question. Do you have any thoughts or maybe, how I could apply this to, or how the viewers can apply this? Say you're an employee. So say you're not a supervisor yet. Say you're just a, professional in a corporate environment, so on. I mean, you're not going to be doing any firing, obviously, but
Mhm.
is this mindset applicable somehow? Because obviously in the corporate world, especially if you're not a supervisor, you do have to play the game, right? You have
Listen, if you run the business or you have free reign from your employer, you can do whatever you want. You can
to.
fire people when you want. But the problem is that if you're a supervisor manager working for a large corporation, they make you jump through all kinds of, like, I remember when I was working in the credit and collection world, I think we had something like 600 seats in the office, and most of them were filled most of the time. I would routinely, like, people would routinely shuffle around staff that were problem, and rather than firing them, right,
Mhm.
what do? They just move them out of their department. So every couple of months, I got some loser that was utterly useless that I would try to train, that I would find that I was wasting my time on, and that I would want to fire. And interestingly, lower level employees are quite a bit harder to fire than like managers. Like at the manager level that I was at, because it was president, VP, and then it was the department manager. So I was one of the department managers in a office that had 600 people. It was a lot easier to fire a guy like me because of fit. Because when head office, comes down and says, "Okay, we need to cut manager's salary off the budget," they just kind of look around and go, "Well, who are we butting heads with?" And it's like this guy over here, who's the office defenestrator. He's the guy that gets, the can. So they actually move managers out at least once a year in most large businesses like that, especially where they have to cut back. But lower level employees, you're going to have a harder time moving them out unless you've got free reign from your boss or you run your own business. I used to fire people quickly in my own business, man. Like I remember there was this one guy that was screwing the pooch, and he was a sales guy. And I caught him. What was that website? I think it was called Hot or Not or some nonsense like that. He would spend his entire afternoon. I'm paying the dude to do a job. He spent his entire afternoon surfing the internet on this Hot or Not, on like gay and transvestite stuff. And I'm like, you're not doing your job. I don't care what you're doing. You're completely distracted. You're getting out of here pissed off, right? You got to cut the guy a check because, there's severance pay and all this sort of stuff. But, when you start to see that somebody is an utter and complete train wreck, like they're an anchor in your business, in your life, in your friend circle, if it's a woman, get rid of them and don't look back.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me.
Yeah, for sure.